Have you ever felt like your emotions are just running the show? Well, today we're going to unpack a framework that sees your feelings not as random chaos, but as a super precise tool for navigation. It's all based on the fascinating work of psychiatrist Petra Radescu.
The entire model we're talking about today really hinges on this one powerful idea from psychotherapist Alfred Langel. And it's simple, but it's profound. It means that every single feeling you have, every little spark of joy, every pang of fear, is directly tied to something you care about, something you value.
So, think about that for a second. If every feeling is connected to a value, what if you could learn to read them? What if you could learn to use them like a compass? Let's dive in and see how this emotional compass actually works, starting with its most basic signals.
Okay, so first we start with 5 fundamental emotions. Now, the author uses a specific word for these. He calls them affects. And the reason is they're so raw, so primary, they kind of bypass our thinking brain and just hit us at a gut level. You feel them in your body.
This one's pretty straightforward, right? Joy is that feeling you get when you obtain something that really matters to you. Could be a great conversation, could be achieving a goal. It's the true north on our compass. But, of course, a compass doesn't just point north. It also warns you when you're off course. So what about those tougher emotions, the ones we usually try to run away from?
And this is a really key shift in thinking. Instead of calling feelings like fear or pain bad, this model sees them as incredibly valuable signals. They're not negative, they're information. They're crucial alerts from your inner compass, and each one has a very, very specific message.
Okay, so this is basically the decoder ring for your feelings. It translates them into useful data. Fear isn't just a scary feeling. It's an alert that you might lose something important. Pain, what the author calls soul pain, means a value has already been lost. Bitterness? That points to a value you've decided to give up on. And that empty, hollow feeling of void? It's a signal that you're just not seeing a value that's right in front of you.
Right, so those effects are the first signals, the initial pings from our compass. But what happens when they're not just a fleeting moment? What happens when that fear or that pain just sticks around? Well, that's when we find ourselves at a really critical crossroads. You see, our response to a feeling that just won't go away isn't automatic. It's a direction we choose to take, whether we know it or not. We actually have a choice in how we react, and that choice makes all the difference in the world.
So these are the 4 main roads we can go down. There's retreat, where the feeling just gets bigger and deeper. Activation, which is the healthy one, where you channel that energy somewhere new. Aggressiveness, where things turn destructive, and paralysis, which can open the door to some really serious issues. Let's take a closer look at what happens down some of those more common paths.
Now, when we take the path of retreat, we're basically getting pulled into an emotional quicksand. That persistent fear, it morphs into a constant, buzzing anxiety. That lingering soul pain, it deepens into the heavy blanket of sadness or even depression. Unresolved bitterness hardens into this shell of just constant irritation. And a persistent void, well, it just sucks the color out of everything, leaving you bored and apathetic.
Then there's the path of aggressiveness. This is where you take that emotional energy and just aim it outward. This is where you get emotions like hate, which is a cold, calculated desire to destroy something you see as a threat. Or, on the other hand, fury, which is this hot, explosive energy that's paradoxically fighting for a value, like protecting your loved ones. So, we've seen those reactive paths of retreat and aggressiveness, but there is another way. It's not a reaction, it's a conscious choice. And this is what the author calls building the bridge toward true emotional maturity.
The first step on this bridge is courage. And notice, this is so important. It's not the absence of fear. It's the willed pre-acceptance. It's consciously agreeing with yourself that, yeah, I might lose this thing I value. It's looking that risk right in the face and saying, I see you and I'm moving forward anyway. And that choice gives you incredible power.
Next up is humbleness. And this isn't about being weak, it's a profound strength. It's the ability to accept your own limits, to accept that loss is just part of life. It's willingly choosing to endure that soul pain with grace, instead of fighting it. It's finding your strength in surrender.
And forgiveness here, it's an active internal choice. It's consciously deciding to let go of bitterness, not for the other person, but for yourself, to restore your own inner peace and get back in alignment with what you really value. It's choosing your harmony over being right.
And finally, there's dedication. This is the choice you make to commit to a path or a person, even when you're in that void, even when you can't see the purpose clearly. It's an act of pure will in the face of uncertainty. It's a leap of faith.
So here's the payoff. By actively choosing courage, humbleness, forgiveness, and dedication, you're building a bridge. You are transforming those raw, reactive affects into something so much deeper, so much more profound. Sentiments. This is the ultimate destination.
You see, sentiments aren't just fleeting feelings that happen to us. They are stable, absolute states of being that we build through conscious choice. And according to this model, they are the only truly objective landmarks we have. They're our true north, the fixed stars we can navigate by, no matter how wild the emotional seas get.
Now, this slide gives a perfect example. Think about being in love. That's an affective state, right? It's temporary, it's often confusing, it's a roller coaster. But love, the sentiment, that's different. That's the freedom of perception. It's the choice to see and cherish another person for exactly who they are, imperfections and all.
And that leads us to the 4 fundamental sentiments, the 4 points of our true north. Confidence, the freedom of I can. Love, the freedom of truly seeing another. Fidelity, the freedom of being true to your own choices. And fulfillment, the freedom that comes from acting in a way that matters. These aren't just feelings, they are states of being that you earn.
So, we've gone all the way from these raw feelings to these profound states of being. But why does any of this matter? Well, this model isn't just a cool theory, it's a practical guide for living. And the stakes for actually learning to use this compass, they're really, really high.
The author points to this trend in our culture to just tune out our emotional signals. We chase pleasure, we run from pain, we distract ourselves, we numb ourselves. He argues this is incredibly dangerous, and he uses this one very specific, very powerful Romanian word to describe what's at risk.
And this word just brilliantly captures the danger. Indobitocire. It means the process of becoming more like a domesticated animal. Just reactive, unthinking, indiscriminate. You know, just reacting to pleasure and pain without any thought. It's a stark warning about what we lose when we ignore our inner world.
But cultivating these sentiments, confidence, love, fidelity, fulfillment, that's the vaccine against this. That's the work of turning raw feeling into the unique, conscious, meaningful experience of being human. So this whole framework really leaves us with one big question. Your emotions are your compass, and they are always pointing to what matters. What are they telling you to value?